everyone, Chrissy at Pinovate. This tutorial is for our super cute Among Us peel and paint kit. So follow along and we're going to create this together. Okay, so in your kit you are going to have a wooden board, 3 small wooden tags, some sandpaper, a vinyl cutout of your crewmate and 3 words, a selection of paint, a makeup sponge, a blue small brush, a foam brush, an instruction sheet, and the only other things you might need would be some masking tape and a scraper. So a scraper, you could use a butter knife or a rewards card, library card, credit card, something along those lines. So get all of your materials together and we're gonna make this. So your very first step is you are going to get all of your wooden materials. So your base as well as your 3 tags, and we are going to sand them to make sure that everything is nice and smooth, not bumpy, and we're gonna make sure that it is prepped nicely for our paint. So with your sandpaper, you're just going to rub along your edges as well as your insides here, and give your tags a quick little rub as well to make sure that they are ready to go. So my board has a little bit of dust on here. I just like to take a dry paper towel and just give it a wipe. Make sure that there's no dust left on there before we are ready to paint. Okay, so I have my paints all ready. I poured all of my colors, but right now I'm just gonna be using my gray. So with my gray paint and my foam brush, I'm going to paint the background. Okay, so when you're using your foam brush, you're just going to pick up a little bit of gray at a time. I'm not scooping it like a spoon. Okay, so I'm just gonna go a little bit at a time, and I can always come back and get more paint to cover if needed. Okay, so a little bit of paint. And then when I'm painting on here, I'm doing nice, long, flat strokes. So I'm using all the paint in my brush before I go and get more. So this is important that I'm not leaving big blobs of paint, otherwise this is not going to dry. We want to make sure that it is nice and flat and even to make sure that it dries so our crewmate can go on top. So I'm gonna paint everything, the back, the edges, the top, and the sides. I'm just not painting the very, very back, okay? But otherwise I'm painting all of the pieces. Okay, so I have finished 1 coat of paint on my board. I'm gonna let this dry and then do a second coat. Okay, while my board is drying, I'm going to move on and paint my tags. So you can paint these any of the colors that you have. So you could do 1 of each color if you wanted. You could keep them all gray. You could do them all black. So this is your choice. You get to pick whatever colors you want on here. So I'm going to do 2 blue and 1 black, but I still have my foam brush here. So what I'm gonna do is I'm just going to take a paper towel and give it a squish. I'm gonna get most of the paint out of there, and then I can just reuse it. Give it a good squish. There. Now most of that is out of there. I'm good to go. So I'm gonna go in with my blue. And again, so I'm doing a nice thin coat, as thin as possible. Otherwise it won't dry properly. So nice and thin. And if I get it on the edge, I'm just gonna give it a wipe. And these you only need to do 1 side as well. Okay, so this last one I'm going to paint black. I'm just gonna give my brush another quick clean. And I'm ready for this one. So again, a nice thin coat using just a little bit of paint. If it's too lumpy or clumpy, it won't dry. And if you have any paint on the edges, you can just go ahead and give it a wipe. Now I'm gonna set these aside to dry and then they're done. All right, so my tags are done and off to the side drying. I'm back to my board. Now we wanna make sure that this is completely dry before moving on. So I've done one coat, and with yours, if you would like to do a second coat right now, you're more than welcome. Exact same process, nice thin layers. Make sure you get all of the corners and your edges, and then you're gonna set that off to dry. Okay, I am ready to move on. Now my base is fully dry, and that's extremely important before we move on with our vinyl decal. If you want to speed it up, you can always take a blow dryer or a hair dryer to it just for a couple seconds, and that'll speed up that paint to dry nice and quickly. We are going to move on to our decal. So this part is a lot of fun. So this is like a great big sticker, or like a sandwich sticker. So there is a front piece of transfer tape, there's a clear piece, there's the white piece of vinyl, and then there is a paper backing. Okay, so to move this, we want to get this right onto our tray. So with your scraper, so if you have a butter knife or a rewards card, you want to grab that right now, and we're going to rub this whole vinyl. We want the vinyl to stick to our clear transfer tape on top. Okay, so once that is done, we are going to peel off our paper backing. Okay, so this back piece needs to come off. So you're just going to peel it like a great big sticker. So if any pieces stick to your backing, you're just gonna give them another rub down. Okay, so you want everything to come off onto your clear transfer tape. All right, so now this is like a great big sticker. I'm gonna line him up in the middle of my tray and place him down. Now I want to do this very gently because I don't want any air bubbles in here. So I'm going to gently press out all the air and smooth it down. Now we're going to use our scraper again. We're going to scrape this whole thing, and then we want to peel off our clear, leaving just the white vinyl on our tray. Okay, so this part might be a little bit tricky, but you're going to find the corner of the transfer tape, okay? So you can see here, I have the corner. There we go. And now I'm gonna peel this off. So rather than pulling up, that's gonna end up pulling off the vinyl as well. I'm actually gonna peel it back along itself at a diagonal. And this whole piece of clear needs to come all the way off. There we go, so there's our little crewmate. Now one extra step that I like to do is with my masking tape, I'm actually going to just put a little bit of a border along the back here so I don't bleed my paint over onto my tray. So right by his little backpack there, I'm just gonna put a bit of tape. So when I'm painting, it kind of protects it. So, but everywhere else looks good. If on your crewmate, you have like a short edge up here, feel free to masking tape the entire thing out just to protect it. Okay, so this part is where we're going to paint out the shape of our crewmate. So you're going to need your squishy little makeup sponge, and for this we're using black paint, okay? Now, this part is very important. We don't want to use much paint at all, okay? So less is more. So I'm going to use my makeup sponge, and I'm going to take the smallest, tiniest little bit of black, okay? There's a little bit on there, but then I'm actually going to take most of it off. I don't want much at all, okay? So there's even less on there now. And when I'm painting this, I'm going to use an up and down motion, not a back and forth. If I go back and forth, there might be a chance that I'm bleeding paint underneath the vinyl, and I don't want that. I want to go straight up and down, okay? And we want it to be very, very thin so it dries quickly. So straight up and down. And I'm going until I can't go anymore and there's no paint left in my sponge. Okay, so now I'm gonna pick up some more paint, but again, I'm using the smallest amount. I'm dabbing off most of it first, and then I'm continuing in a dabbing motion, straight up and down, not side to side. And remember, this needs to be nice and thin. Okay, so I've done the outline of my crewmate, and I'm gonna set this aside to dry. Okay, so for our tags should be nice and dry as well. Now we're going to put our words over onto our tags. So using the exact same procedure as our crewmate, we're going to rub down our vinyl, peel off the backing, we're going to place that on our tag. Give that another rub. And then peel off the clear transfer tape. And you're going to do this for all of your tags. Okay, so I have all of my vinyl on my tags and I am ready to paint. So using my little makeup brush from before, I'm going to put black onto my blue so it stands out. And then I think I might do blue onto my black. Remember, you don't want the same color as the tag or it's not going to stand out. You need to use a different color. But again, you can use any color that you like. So using my makeup sponge again, I'm going to go, this is the same color, so I'm gonna go into my black, just a tiny, tiny bit. I'm going to do the exact same thing with the crewmate. So a straight up and down motion, dabbing right over the words. Okay, so I'm ready to do my sus tag. Now I want to do blue on this, but my sponge has black. So I'm just going to flip it to another corner and grab right here instead. So you can use multiple colors on your one sponge. Okay, so same sort of thing. Take a little bit, dab it off, and I'm gonna go right on top. If you are doing a color on top of a black tag, you may need to let it dry and do 2 or 3 coats. Okay, so my tags are done. I'm just gonna place these off to the side and let them dry. But in the meantime, my crewmate is ready to go. So now, because he's dry, we're gonna peel this right off. So this part is the fun part. So grab your corner and peel. And don't forget the inside. If you found that any of your black paint has bled onto your backboard here, you can actually go back in with your small brush and touch up right around the edges if needed. Okay, here comes the fun part. So you're going to need your small brush and whatever color you have chosen for your crewmate. Okay, so now we're going to paint on the inside. So think of it like paint by number or like a coloring book. So we have our outline and we're just gonna go in with our color of choice. You're going to take a little bit. So you're not scooping it like a spoon, you're just taking a little bit on the edge. And we're going to paint his body and his backpack, not his mask. And do your best to try to stay in the line. So a trick that I like to use is because our brush is nice and flat, I like to use it like a pencil. So I'm just gonna place it right on the edge and just follow that line like I'm drawing with a pencil. So it has a nice straight edge. All right, so my crewmate is all painted. I did not paint his mask, so leave that gray. I did one coat on here, so we want to make sure that it is nice and thin to make sure that it dries. Once it's dried, you can actually take a look and see if you're missing any little spots, and you can go ahead and do a second coat at that time. If you happen to go over your black lines, that's okay. Once your paint is dry, you can touch it up. Just using your brush and your black paint, you can go in and fix the lines. That's not a problem at all. While my crewmate is drying, my tags are ready to be peeled. So we're just going to peel this off like a Band-Aid and reveal our letters. So for any of those tiny little spots on the inside there, you could use something like a toothpick or a bamboo skewer, or if the paint is definitely nice and dry, you can just go ahead and use your nail as well and peel those off. Okay, and we're going to do that for all of our tags. Okay, so I ended up doing 2 coats on my crewmate and he is good to go. Now my tags are all finished as well. Now with these, you can do whatever you like. You can either just set them in the bottom, you can glue them down anywhere you like, or you can use them as a key tag or hang them off of your backpack as well. Thank you so much for following along our adorable Among Us Peel and Paint. Would love to see how they turned out, so please tag us with your photos on Instagram at Pinovate and DIY Delivery, and follow us on Facebook and YouTube and Twitter and Pinterest and all the other things. Thanks again for following along. Don't be sus.